Okay, real quick, before we get started, which color do you think is better? The new soft pink on the iPhone 17e or the lavender on the iPhone 17? Hey, it's Jason. This is the new iPhone 17e, Apple's newest addition to the iPhone 17 lineup. And even though it's already stirred up a lot of disagreements on the interwebs, as new iPhones typically do, I'm just gonna go ahead and say this early. I think that the iPhone 17e is a really good upgrade. Now, I can already hear some of you guys keyboard smashing in the comments. Jason, it's 2026 and this phone still has a 60Hz panel and a notch that all phones got rid of years ago. How on God's earth can you think that this is a good phone? And though I will say that some of the criticism around the 17e is valid as it's not a perfect phone, I feel as though most of the people who hate on it don't understand what this phone is supposed to be and, more importantly, what it's not supposed to be. So today, I'll be walking through what I feel are the legitimate pros and cons of this new device, framed up in a way that really speaks to what I feel Apple is trying to accomplish with this phone, all in an effort to help you determine if the iPhone 17e is the right phone for you. But before we jump into it, a real quick plug for the JSL newsletter. I send subscribers out a brand new full-res wallpaper every single week, as well as links to really good tech deals and fun articles written by me. It's totally free. The link to subscribe will be in the description down below. Okay, first, let's talk about the physical design, because if you judge the iPhone 17e by its cover, you might not be that impressed. And that's because it's basically a clone of last year's iPhone 16e, which is actually a clone of the iPhone 14, so to say that this phone looks familiar is a bit of an understatement. Apple did not change the dimensions or the form factor at all, and it retains that matte glass on the back and the color-matched aluminum frame. Now, it does still use the slightly thinner frame that was on the older iPhone 12, 13, and 14, where it's a bit sharper on the edges and not as robust as what's on the newer non-Pro iPhones, but it's still a really well put together device. One thing Apple did to help differentiate the 17e from last year's 16e is introduce this new color called soft pink. It really lives up to that soft part of its name, as it's the super pale pink that can come off almost white from a distance, and even though I would have liked to have a blue or a green better, this is a welcome addition to the standard black and white colorways. Now, another thing that Apple did with the 17e's build that you won't be able to see with your eyes but is a big upgrade, they use Ceramic Shield 2 on the front display. This may sound like it's whatever, but Apple's Ceramic Shield 2 is noticeably more scratch resistant than Ceramic Shield 1. I've been using the iPhone Air that also has Ceramic Shield 2 on the front screen without a screen protector, and it's completely free of any micro scratches, which is really impressive as I don't baby my devices. So the fact that this more budget-friendly version of the iPhone has this new and very effective build material is a really nice addition to have. Speaking of screens, the iPhone 17e still has a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display that comes in at a 2532 by 1170 resolution. Yes, it's still capped at a 60Hz refresh rate and it still has that stubborn notch at the top, but these limitations are much easier to swallow in my opinion, and I'll explain why. If the iPhone 17e had Apple's ProMotion and Dynamic Island, there would be almost no reason to consider the regular iPhone 17. And considering that this device is not Apple's flagship phone and is hundreds of dollars cheaper, a certain amount of concessions have to be expected, and dare I say it, I don't even think that these are even that bad. The 60Hz panel has always performed above average for what it is, mainly because of Apple's strong marriage between its hardware and software, and to me, the notch is a small price to pay for what is, in my opinion, the best biometric security system on any phone by a considerable margin. I would say the only thing about the screen that I dislike, and I blame the iPhone 17 for this, is its bezel. Don't get me wrong, it's still an immersive display that's great to consume content with, but Apple kind of ruined me with the ultra slim bezel on the 17, and it's kind of crazy how noticeable 0.2 inches can be. But that's a pretty small nitpick, and one that's virtually washed away by the other improvements Apple surreptitiously executed for this phone. For example, the iPhone 17e is equipped with Apple's new A19 mobile processor, an absolute powerhouse of a chip that is also used on the flagship iPhone 17. Now, it is a slightly binned version of the A19 that has one less GPU core, but it's still an extremely capable processor for this phone. So navigating around iOS 26 is super smooth and lag-free, despite it being a lot more demanding of an operating system. Apps can stay open in the background for a long time without impacting the ones that you're using, and even spec-intensive gaming is still smooth and really engaging. This also gives you full access to Apple Intelligence, Apple's AI suite that is basically on life support as none of its features are that useful or well executed, but it will be able to handle the future Siri that we're all praying Google is able to bring back from the dead. Apple also improved the battery life on the iPhone 17e as it now promises up to 30 hours of video playback compared to the 26 on last year's version, and fixing what was the most egregious omission on the 16e, the 17e is fully MagSafe compatible. This is probably the lowest hanging fruit Apple plucked from the tree of available improvements to bring to the 17e, and though it's still a head scratcher as to why they left it off last year, it is a welcome change as I use a ton of MagSafe accessories all the time. Now, another aspect of the 17e staying consistent with previous generations is the fact that it only has one camera on the back. It's still using Apple's 48 megapixel fusion sensor that is able to provide a 2x lossless zoom, so it does kind of feel like you have a dual camera setup, and despite this area of the phone feeling familiar, the camera continues to perform really well. It's essentially the same quality as what you're able to get out of the main sensor on the iPhone 17 as the pictures come out sharp and color accurate with really good natural depth of field. You do get some new software features on the 17e as you can take advantage of Apple's next generation portraits with focus and depth control, which is low-key a really great addition that was not available on the 16e. This phone is also able to shoot really good 4K video and Dolby Vision at up to 60 frames per second, again, at the same level of what the iPhone 17 is able to produce. Apple still dominates in this area of camera performance, and it's crazy that a phone at this price range can have this level of video quality. It's to me one of the biggest selling points that the 17e has to offer. And because price is one of the most important aspects with this phone, while a lot of other manufacturers have increased their prices this year, Apple kept the price of the 17e at $599. And as a cherry on top of that, the base storage of this phone now starts at 256 gigabytes, a way healthier starting point for 2026, and it's pretty noteworthy that this upgrade didn't come tied to a price increase. And I know a lot of people criticize the $599 price tag by saying that it's not cheap, and look, generally I'd agree, but again, you have to think about who this phone is marketed to. The people that are interested in the iPhone 17e want an iPhone. They don't care that there are Android phones available that are cheaper, that have a 120Hz display and no notch. But iPhones are generally speaking expensive, so what the E series of the iPhone provides is a cheaper entry into Apple's ecosystem. And even though $599 can be fairly judged as not cheap when left on its own, it's significantly cheaper than the flagship models, and considering that you're getting a lot of the core modern features by going with the 17e, it's not only the budget-conscious choice, it's also a smart one. This phone is loaded with value, noticeably more than last year's 16e in my opinion, and it's the perfect iPhone to go with if you want a solid phone at a more affordable price and you don't really care about the unnecessary frills. But hey, that's just me, and I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think about the iPhone 17e? Do you think it's a big improvement? Or do you think it's not worth it? Curious to get your thoughts. Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments down below. And in case you guys missed my long-term review of the iPhone 17, definitely check it out here. You're not going to want to miss it.